Hi class, this is your video on utilitarian versus deontological ethics. Here we go. Consequentialist versus deontological ethics. Is it permissible to lie to grandma about her cancer? So this is the lying to grandma issue that we looked at a couple weeks ago. So let's come back to it here. You might remember that the family thought that everyone would be better off if they deceived grandma. So, utilitarian or consequentialist argument for lying to grandma. Doing so will produce the best consequences. That is, will produce the most overall happiness. Therefore, lying was obligatory in this case. So how would a deontologist respond? Probably like this: deontological response. Lying is wrong regardless of the consequences. As a matter of principle, it was wrong to lie to grandma. So a deontologist says it's not about the consequences. So what is it about? Deontological ethics. What makes a moral choice right is its conformity with a moral norm. A moral norm is a rule or a principle. Sample moral norms. Always keep a promise. Do not lie. Treat others with respect. Murder is forbidden. So for a deontologist, you must follow the moral rule. And for a very strict deontologist, there are no exceptions. So you must always keep your promises. There's no exceptions. Why must I keep a promise? Utilitarian answer: keeping promises most of the time will produce the most well-being or happiness. And if keeping a promise does not produce the most happiness, then you don't have to keep your promise. Deontological answer: because you must follow the moral norm, always keep promises. For deontologists, you must follow the moral rule. And if you're a very strict deontologist, then there won't be exceptions. You must always keep your promises. And whether the most happiness is produced is just not an issue for the deontologist. It's not about consequences. For that reason, sometimes deontological ethics is called non-consequentialist. Deontological ethics. This definition is from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and you have a little reading from there this week. What makes a choice right is its conformity with a moral norm, which is a rule or principle. Let's come back to Bach on lying. A utilitarian might say, paternalistic lies are permissible when they produce the most happiness, not permissible when they don't. Bach argues that we should strive to avoid paternalistic lies on utilitarian grounds, meaning they are likely to cause damage. How would a deontologist respond to Bach? In the picture, you have Immanuel Kant, 1724 to 1804, and he's the most famous deontologist. But we won't spend a lot of time on Kant. Deontological ethics. No matter how morally good their consequences, some choices are morally forbidden. Lying is morally forbidden. So for a deontologist, you should conform to the moral norm. Do not lie. So a deontologist might mostly agree with Bach that we should not do paternalistic lying, but the reason is different. For Bach, the reasons are utilitarian, but for a deontologist, it's about following the rule. Here's a scenario. The FBI has credible intelligence that a bomb will explode in a crowded marketplace unless it is found and defused. A suspect in custody knows where the bomb is. If tortured, he will probably tell. Is it morally permissible to torture the suspect? A utilitarian would say, yes, if that produces the most well-being. So you torture one person, but you save hundreds of lives. Therefore, torturing the suspect is not only permissible, but obligatory. A deontologist would say, probably, no, torture is wrong. It's not about the consequences. It's about the action itself. You must follow the moral norm. Torture is wrong, or do not torture.